Test, test, test. Oops, got the date wrong, Jeff. Alrighty. Hello everyone. Today's live stream of the sun at roughly 2:30 Eastern Standard Time from the Buffalo, New York area. I just fired up the Quark, so it's going to change focus on me here. We'll just go around the sun and see what's out there. I need to make a new flap, but this will work for now. Some big spots. Nice filament here in a spot. Now I do have smoke today, which is nothing new for me. I've had smoke since April of this year. So you will see that the focus is going to change quite a bit while we're viewing, but it's still enough detail in the surface to be able to pick up a lot of things. Now when you see a spot on towards the limb, what that allows you to do is to actually see that this is lower, the sunspot is lower than the rest of the surface. And when you're in negative mode, that sticks out pretty good. Oops, sorry, wrong one. If I turn negative off, you really can't tell that that's below the surface until you go to negative. And negative kind of gives you some depth. Not many proms out there today that I can see. All right, so the surface has really only got those two big spots that are of any note. So let's do this. We'll concentrate and focus more on what is at the limb. and go around the block. A little guy there, nothing much. See if we can help it. Now, as you can see, I'm just playing with the histogram. I'm not messing with gain or exposure. If you set your histogram up properly to use about what I have, sometimes I'll go a little past the 200. Then all you need to do is move the white point or the black point to see the features. This side is the proms and anything on the surface, this area. And then as I move this to the right, you can see our surface detail. But right now, I am mainly worried about what is on the limb. So let's go continue our journey. Couple little dinky ones there. Another one there, nothing big. Now I believe that we've made our trip around the block. Let's go back. Just concentrate on the surface. Now if we go back down, I believe that this sunspot right here is the one that was on the back side when Perseverance rover was able to see the sunspot that it saw, and I believe this is it. And this guy has been flaring pretty good. So we'll just hang here a minute. Move it up a little bit maybe. Probably going to have to remake my flat. I made it early enough in the quark cycle that you can see that the darker lines are starting to come through, and that's just the quark warming up. And you can really tell right now that this is below the surface. These features are below the surface because they're cooler. So anything that's black is cooler than the rest of the surface. So when you go into negative mode, it turns white. Anything in white will be below the surface. So I'm just going to go over here and try and make a new flat. We don't want that guy in the picture. Okay. So I open up my histogram. I also change the exposure to drop it down to like 1.5 because I like it right around 150. That seems to give me the best flat. Then I will turn off the existing flat, and you can see that these darker lines, that is the quark. And any H alpha filter is going to have some issues. There is no perfect H alpha filter unless you're spending way more than I want to spend for one. In fact, their higher end quarks cost $23,000, and the filters or crystals that they use in their lower end quarks are pieces from the silicon that they use to make their higher end chips. So let's take and do a capture. Let's grab, oh, I didn't defocus, son of a pup, sorry. What's today, 20? Okay, we'll try that again. So I defocus, and what that'll do, because I have a bright enough light source in the sun, in that I'm using a Barlow, the quark has a 4.2 Barlow in it. So I'm not seeing the whole disk, so I can pick a spot on the sun that doesn't have a lot of activity. And because of that, if I defocus, then I just see my boogers. So that this, and this is quark. This is a booger on either my optics or on the sensor. So what I will do now is just capture this. I'll make a little recording, which I've got. So now what I can do is go back on my focus. I usually go about 2,000 steps. I find that blurs out any feature on the surface enough that I get a decent flat. Okay. So now I have to raise my exposure to 2. And did I not turn? There. Oh, that's a much better flat. So this is very nice surface detail for me. This is an AR-102, Explore Scientific. Okay, let's go find some spots. I know there's one this way. Let's go take a peek at it. Couple spots right there. I don't like to zoom in on this stuff very often, mainly because of the camera that I'm using. It has trouble doing 30 frames per second. And if I have any atmosphere rolling like I do now, it just isn't worth really zooming in, so I like to leave it at full screen, which is about 70% zoom. Sometimes I will go to 150 and then focus that way. So I'll pick something that's really fine and then try to get it as best that I can. So that's probably about the best that I'll get this today. Some people will do a high contrast version, so they'll squeeze the histogram so that you get a high contrast image. And then you can focus and get the get this image as sharp as you can, but this histogram really isn't made for that type. You would need something like Sharp Caps, which has a mid slider, and it also has a I forget what it's called, an auto stretch, and the auto stretch really squeezes the white, mid, and black points into a really tight column, which gives you a nice high contrast image, and you can focus on that a lot easier than you can with say something here. So I'll just try and pick something that's in the image like this, that's real thin, and then I'll try and get it as sharp as I can make it. Now, what you can see in the histogram is that as I move the scope so that it sees nothing but the disc, then you only have one hump. If I move the scope so that we can see a piece of the limb, you will slowly see that a second hump forms, and this is the limb and any prominences. And you can now see as I get more into space, this hump is going away because we're losing surface. And then eventually all that's left is the slider on the black. We must have a little bad section of atmosphere rolling through. Test, test. Test, test. That doesn't look too bad. See. Dash record 2 and 3. Okay. Let's see what happens. Testing 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. So what I'm doing now is I'm grabbing some movies that I can later process, post-process. Go over and get this biggie over here, and even though it looks washed out, the program that I use, which is IMPPG, has no problem with this data. Might have to. I will grab it, see what it says. Some nice little small filaments, right, or prominences. Not anything to write home about. All right, we'll go around the block one more time, and then we'll call this a day. Someday I'll figure out the slew buttons. Keyword someday. Well, that's today's sun. two spots that are worth anything to look at. So until the next time, clear skies, and I hope to do a deep sky session. I might be able to do one either Saturday or I'm sorry, Thursday or Friday. It looks like I might have decent weather. Still got the smoke problem. I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon, based on some of the reports I've been seeing coming out of Canada. It doesn't look good up there. So we'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching.